8-year-old Emma Chen walked out of her second-grade classroom at 10:18 a.m. Her teacher was there. 28 classmates were sitting at their desks. No one saw her leave. Before she stood up, Emma touched her orca pendant 3 times fast, the way she always did when something felt wrong. Her desk was still perfectly arranged when they found it, pencil parallel to the edge, rainbow fish closed at her page. Backpack on the floor exactly where she'd placed it. She'd expected to come back. For the next 33 hours, Jennifer Chen would not sleep, would not eat, would learn that her daughter had tried to call her and been put on hold. And an elementary school counselor from a neighboring district had been studying Emma's behavioral file for 3 weeks before he walked into that school with a visitor badge. He chose Emma because she was good. You'll discover how a child vanishes from a room full of people and the 90-second window that made it possible. How 22 seconds on hold at her mother's medical office changed the course of everything, and how a parking lot security camera at a church 2 miles from school brought Emma Chen home. This is the Emma Chen case, the classroom vanishing that rewrote school safety law in Oregon. But to understand how a child disappears from a room full of people, you need to go back to the morning, to the last time everything was normal. The alarm on Emma Chen's nightstand played ocean sounds. Not a buzzer, not music, ocean sounds specifically. The slap and retreat of Pacific waves, the distant cry of gulls. Emma had chosen it herself at age 6, had explained to her mother with great seriousness that it was important to wake up gently. Her mother had agreed. Jennifer Chen agreed with most things Emma said with great seriousness. Which was most things Emma said. It is Thursday, November 14, 2008. Emma is 8 years old. She eats Cheerios with sliced banana from the whale-shaped bowl her aunt gave her for Christmas 3 years ago. The bananas are always sliced. She doesn't bite bananas, that's not how it's done. She reads the side of the cereal box while she eats, the same box she's read 40 times because reading the cereal box is what you do at breakfast. This is the routine is everything. Upstairs, Emma braids her own hair. She learned at age 7, watched Jennifer do it for months, then one morning announced she was ready. She is methodical about it, precise, finishing with rainbow elastic bands that match nothing she's wearing and match everything she is. Purple long-sleeve shirt today, dolphin graphic sparkly, dark jeans with flowers on the back pockets, her mismatched socks, left foot rainbow stripes, right foot purple with white polka dots. She calls them her surprise socks. She has been calling them that since she was 5. The joke doesn't get old. Jennifer is waiting in the car. She always waits in the car, not impatiently, not urgently, just present. Monitoring. Jennifer Chen is a pediatrician, a woman who color codes calendars and triple checks door locks and photographs Emma every first and last day of school from the same spot on the front steps. Building a visual record of a daughter growing up. Emma gets in the passenger seat. Before she buckles, Jennifer presses her palm to Emma's forehead. No fever, there is never a fever, she checks anyway. The car fills with the faint smell of Emma's strawberry shampoo. Jennifer adjusts Emma's braids. The braids are perfect. Jennifer adjusts them anyway just to touch her. Then Emma turns and kisses her mother's cheek, once on the left, then once on the right, always twice. Never once. Never 3 times, twice, because that's what you do. Jennifer watches Emma walk toward the school entrance. Watches her step hop on the second-to-last stair. The Emma bounce, David calls it, and knows this is her girl. This exact girl with this exact walk, these exact braids, this exact purple backpack with the rainbow zipper pulls. She waits until Emma reaches the door. She doesn't leave until Emma is inside. This is also the routine. This is also everything inside. The hallway smells of industrial floor cleaner and wet jackets. Riverside Elementary in November is a particular kind of sensory world. Rubber soles on linoleum, the hum of fluorescent lights, 200 children's voices pressing against cinder block walls. Emma spots Maya Patel by the lockers, and her face does the thing it always does when she sees her best friend, a brightness, a loosening, as if some tension she carries in her shoulders quietly releases. Maya is everything Emma isn't in the ways that matter. Loud where Emma is quiet, easy in a crowd where Emma is careful. They do their handshake, 3 slaps, 1 snap. Maya invented it in kindergarten, spent a week teaching it to Emma who needed the week. Ready for silent reading? Maya asks. Emma touches her orca pendant once, just checking. I love silent reading, she says, and she means it. Room 107 fills the way second-grade classrooms do in noise and energy and the particular chaos of 28 eight-year-olds who have survived the morning and are now willing, provisionally, to be educated. Mrs. Holland takes attendance. Mrs. Park, the classroom assistant, organizes folders at the back table. Emma goes to her desk. Third row, right side near the windows. She sets her purple backpack on the floor, removes her rainbow fish book, the cover worn soft with rereading, and places it on the desk. Then she picks up her pencil and aligns it parallel to the desk's edge, adjusts it once, adjusts it again. Perfect. Outside the windows, November clouds sit low over Portland, the kind of gray that means rain is coming, has been coming all morning, patient as a held breath. Silent reading begins at 10:15 a.m. Emma opens her book. She has read it 100 times and will read it 100 more. She bites the inside of her left cheek slightly, the way she does when she's concentrating, and begins. She is happy. She is in this moment exactly where she expects to be. At 10:17, Susan Martinez, a parent volunteer, knocks lightly on room 107 door. Mrs. Holland looks up from between the rows of desks, recognizes her, and gives a small nod. Susan opens the door and walks along the left wall toward the storage room. But opening that door triggers the school's mechanical door holder. The small pneumatic arm catches, locks open. For 90 seconds, the door will stay wide open. Mrs. Holland's eyes follow Susan toward the storage room. She is not looking at the open door. She is not looking at the third row right side near the windows, which is how Michael Ross slips inside. He wears a visitor badge. He carries a clipboard. He walks directly to Emma's desk along the right wall opposite Susan's path in the space where no one is looking. He bends down, says something quietly just for Emma. Words the security camera above the door cannot capture. Words delivered in the calm, authoritative voice of a man who has spent years learning exactly what to say to anxious 8-year-olds. Emma's hand goes to her orca pendant, 3 times, fast. Then she closes her rainbow fish. She stands, she doesn't ask permission. She doesn't look at Maya. She doesn't look at Mrs. Holland, who is still watching Susan, still not watching the third row. Emma just walks toward the classroom door with the stiff, careful steps of a child who has been told she is in terrible trouble and is trying very hard not to show it. At 10:14 a.m., Emma Chen walks out of room 107. 28 children keep reading. Mrs. Holland turns back to the class. The door drifts slowly shut. 29 minutes pass. They pass the way ordinary minutes do, in the turning of pages, in the scratch of pencils, in Mrs. Holland's voice asking questions and children's voices answering. Nobody notices the empty desk near the window, or rather, nobody notices until they do. At 10:47 a.m., Mrs. Holland asks everyone to close their books and put them away. 28 students reach for their books. Maya Patel reaches for hers, glances left, frowns, she raises her hand. Emma's gone, not worried yet, just puzzled, the way you say a sentence that your brain doesn't yet understand the weight of. Mrs. Holland looks at Emma's desk. The pencil still parallel to the edge, the rainbow fish closed, the backpack on the floor, everything exactly right. No, Emma. She may have gone to the restroom, Mrs. Holland says, her voice is steady. She crosses to the classroom bathroom door, the attached interior bathroom with no exterior exit. Knocks. Opens it, empty. The room goes very still in the way rooms go still when an adult is suddenly trying not to show fear in front of children. 10:51 a.m. Principal Watkins gets a call from room 107. Emma Chen isn't in my classroom. She was here at the start of silent reading. I don't know where she is. The next 6 minutes will be the last 6 minutes in which this is treated as a simple misunderstanding. At 10:52 a.m., Jennifer Chen is standing between exam rooms at Portland Children's Clinic when her phone vibrates. She glances at the screen, Riverside Elementary, and steps into the hallway. Dr. Chen, says Principal Watkins's voice. I need you to stay calm. Jennifer Chen has delivered bad news to parents for 11 years. She knows what it means when someone opens with stay calm. What do you mean you can't find her? Jennifer says. Her voice goes high and tight. What do you mean you can't find her? She says it 3 times, then she is running. Jennifer Chen runs across the parking lot. She is still in her white clinic coat. She left so fast she didn't take it off, didn't grab her bag from her office, didn't tell her receptionist where she was going, just heard can't find her and was moving before the call ended. She'd driven 11 blocks through 2 red lights and a stop sign she registered but didn't fully stop at, her hands gripping the steering wheel so tightly she'd lost feeling in her left thumb before she pulled into the lot. She doesn't see the wet patch on the asphalt near the handicapped spaces. Her left foot hits it wrong. She goes down. Her palms catch her. Her knee doesn't. She feels something tear open on her left knee, the cold sting of scraped skin, and she is back up in the same motion, running again, not breaking stride, not looking down. She will not discover the injury until 9 hours later when a nurse at the school will see the dried blood and ask if she needs attention. Jennifer will look at her own knee as if seeing it for the first time. She doesn't feel it. She can't feel anything except the specific terror of a mother who has been told her daughter isn't where her daughter is supposed to be. Inside room 107, Principal Watkins meets her at the door. 2 Portland police officers are already there, first responders, called the moment the school's 30-minute search of the building turned up nothing. Jennifer pushes past the principal, past the officers, and walks straight to Emma's desk. 3rd row, right side, near the windows. And she stands there and looks at the pencil parallel to the desk's edge. The rainbow fish closed, the backpack on the floor. She touches the pencil, touches the book's cover, worn soft as skin. Then she pulls Emma's jacket from the cubby near the door, the North Face fleece still holding the shape of Emma's shoulders, and holds it to her face. Strawberry shampoo still there. She wouldn't leave, Jennifer says. Her voice has gone very quiet, which is more frightening than screaming. You don't understand. Emma doesn't break rules. She asks permission to sharpen her pencil. She asks permission to get a drink of water. She would not just leave. The officer with the notepad nods in the careful way officers nod when they are still making up their minds about whether to worry. Jennifer can see him deciding she is a hysterical mother. She is not hysterical. She is correct. 45 minutes away. David Chen is standing in front of 3rd period English when his cell phone buzzes. He looks at it under the desk the way teachers who have confiscated 50 phones know not to look at phones in class. One glance. One name on the screen, Riverside Elementary. He says, I need 5 minutes, to his class in a voice that has never once in 11 years of teaching said I need 5 minutes. The students who will be interviewed later all say the same thing. He looked terrified. Not like Mr. Chen at all. He is out in the hallway before the door closes behind him. The voice on the line is Principal Watkins's, and she is saying words like missing and not on campus and police are here and David Chen. A man who deflects his own anxiety with terrible puns, who coaches basketball with boundless patience, who keeps a whale drawing folded behind his driver's license, goes absolutely still in the way that people go still when they understand that the world has just rearranged itself around them. He makes it to Riverside Elementary by 11:15 a.m. He sees Jennifer's scraped knee first. He tries to hug her. She pushes him away. Find her, she says, not help me or I'm scared. Just find her, as if sheer directive force might make it so. David doesn't argue. He turns, introduces himself to the lead detective, and asks for a map of the surrounding area. Within 2 hours, he will have that map covered in colored grid lines. He will organize search volunteers into teams of 4, assign each team a sector, create a shared log for reporting. His hands shake badly enough that the pen skips on the paper, but the grids are neat. The grids are precise. David Chen cannot stop Emma from being gone, but he can make the search for her organized, and organization is the only thing standing between him and the fact that his daughter is somewhere he cannot reach her. He drinks his 3rd coffee of the morning while standing at the dining room table that has become a command center. The cup trembles slightly in his hand. He drinks his 3rd coffee of the morning while standing at the dining room table that has become a command center. He hasn't showered. He smells of sharp caffeine and cold fear sweat, a scent his son will remember for the rest of his life. The cup trembles slightly in his hand. He doesn't notice. Kevin Chen is in math when the principal's secretary appears in the doorway and says his name. He knows before she finishes saying it. He doesn't know how he knows. He just does the way siblings sometimes do, some frequency of connection that operates below language. He picks up his backpack, follows her out, gets into the principal's car without being told where they are going. At Riverside Elementary, they walk him past his parents, past Jennifer, who is pacing the perimeter of room 107 like an animal in a too small space, and past David, who is bent over maps and doesn't look up in time, and Kevin walks directly to Emma's desk. He sits down in her chair. He doesn't say anything. He picks up her pencil, the purple one, slightly chewed at the end, and holds it. Then he sets it back down parallel to the edge of the desk exactly as Emma had left it. He stays there for 20 minutes. Nobody asks him to move. Nobody speaks to him. Officers and teachers and parents move through the room around him, and Kevin Chen sits in his little sister's chair and holds the shape of her absence and does not make a sound. By 11:30 a.m., the K-9 unit is on scene. The German Shepherd Rex, 7 years old, a veteran of 43 missing persons searches, is given Emma's scent from the jacket in her cubby. Jennifer watches Rex press his nose to the fleece, watches him lift his head and sweep the room, watches him track to Emma's desk, then to the hallway door, then down the east corridor with gathering urgency. She follows the dog the way you follow hope, through the east wing, past the gymnasium, to a heavy exterior door near the custodial closet. Rex sits. The handler crouches, studies the door's bottom edge. There, a small rubber wedge jammed in the gap between door and frame. The door is propped, has been propped. It will later emerge since 7:45 a.m. when the custodian opened it to move equipment and forgot in the morning rush to remove the wedge. A $2 piece of rubber, one forgotten detail. Rex pushes through the door, tracks along the sidewalk to Riverside Avenue. Moves south, then east. Nose working at the damp November air, and then stops, sits again. At the edge of the sidewalk where Riverside Avenue meets the street, Rex stops and sits and looks at the handler, and the scent is simply gone, disrupted by traffic, by rain-wet asphalt, by the thousand-layered smell of a city street that doesn't know or care that a small girl passed this way. Jennifer stares at the place where Rex stopped, at the street, at the ordinary street, at the place where Emma, with her braids and her surprise socks and her need to ask permission before she sharpened her pencil, simply ceased to be locatable. If you're a parent, you've felt something like this. Not this exactly, but that specific stomach drop when you can't find your child in the grocery store for 10 seconds. When they are just behind the cereal aisle, perfectly fine, and your brain has already sprinted 6 steps ahead to a place you can't bear. For Jennifer Chen, those 10 seconds became 33 hours. There are moments that split a life cleanly into before and after. They don't announce themselves. They arrive inside an ordinary morning, hiding in the space between 1 minute and the next. Jennifer Chen's before ended at 10:52 a.m. on November 14, 2008. She didn't know it yet. She was still calling the school, still believing this was a miscommunication, still living in the last seconds of a world where Emma was probably in the library, probably with a friend, probably fine, probably about to be found. The after was already here. It had been here since 10:18. Every Sunday, David Chen took Emma to the same diner on Northeast Broadway. They'd been going since she was 4 years old, when she'd insisted on ordering for herself for the first time and announced to the waitress with tremendous gravity that she would have the silver dollar pancakes and also extra syrup, please, because syrup is important. The waitress had brought the extra syrup. She always brought it now without being asked because Emma had been coming long enough that she was simply known. They'd sit in the same booth second from the window, and Emma would drink hot chocolate with both hands wrapped around the mug, and David would drink coffee, and they would talk. About whales mostly. Always about whales in some direction. Did you know, Emma had said last Sunday, just 6 days ago, though it feels to David now like a photograph from someone else's life, that orcas learn to hunt by watching their mothers. They practice for years. The mothers teach them everything. Is that right? David said. Yes, they stay with their family their whole lives. They never leave. She'd looked up over her hot chocolate mug. I'm going to be like that. I'm going to stay close. He'd laughed, reached across the table. She'd given him her pinky finger. He'd wrapped his around it. They'd sat like that for a while, his big hand, her small one, connected by just this one small hinge, while the diner hummed around them and Emma told him everything she knew about orcas, which was considerable, and David listened the way only parents of 8-year-olds can listen. With total attention, with a kind of fierce and private gratitude, with the specific joy of someone who knows they are in the presence of something irreplaceable. Fish, he'd called her. She'd rolled her eyes and smiled. That was last Sunday. David Chen stares at the grid map of Southeast Portland and tries to remember what she ordered last week. Silver dollar pancakes, he thinks. Extra syrup. He thinks we will go back next Sunday. He thinks we will go back next Sunday and the Sunday after. And every Sunday until she is old enough to be embarrassed by it, and then we will go anyway because she will secretly still want to. He thinks, please. The break comes on day 2 at 11:30 a.m. Detectives canvassing the 2-block radius between school and gas station have been working since dawn. Door to door, photo in hand. Have you seen this child? Most people haven't, or don't remember, or looked up too late. Then they reach a young man named Marcus Webb, 24 years old, employee of the Shell station at the corner of Riverside and Morrison. He doesn't remember at first. They show him the still from the gas station's own camera, 10:26 a.m., a small figure in a purple shirt, braids near the entrance. Marcus stares at it for a long time. Wait, he says, I do remember, there was a little girl. She came in maybe 10:30, somewhere around there. She asked if she could use the phone. The detectives are very still. And she said, can I use your phone? I need to call my mom. What did you say? I pointed to the payphone outside. He looks at the window at the payphone visible through the glass. She went to use it, then a customer came in and I helped him, and when I looked back she was gone. I figured her mom had come. I figured it was fine. He stops. He understands now that it was not fine. Phone company records pulled within the hour confirm what happened next. At 10:27 a.m., a call was placed from the payphone at that corner. It lasted 22 seconds. The number dialed, Portland Children's Clinic. Dr. Jennifer Chen's office. Detectives call Jennifer. Did Emma call your office yesterday morning? Jennifer starts to say no, then stops. My receptionist mentioned a hang-up call around 10:30. She said no one was there when she answered. Detectives piece it together quickly. Thursday morning at Portland Children's Clinic. 4 doctors, a full waiting room, phones ringing constantly. The receptionist's greeting is automatic, reflexive, trained into her by 10 years of busy mornings. Portland Children's Clinic, please hold, and then the hold music starts before the caller can speak. Emma, standing at a street corner payphone 2 miles from school in November cold, having already broken every rule she'd ever been taught. Having tried and failed to get help, having finally found a phone and dialed the number she knew by heart, Emma heard the hold music. And waited 22 seconds. She was 8 years old and didn't know you could stay on the line and demand to be heard. She was 8 years old and had been taught not to bother people. She was 8 years old and had already broken so many rules today that one more, hanging up without saying goodbye, felt like the only thing she could still control. She hung up. She put the receiver back. She was still alone on the street corner at 10:27 a.m. Help had been 22 seconds away. 22 seconds, that's all that stood between Emma Chen and rescue. They tell Jennifer at 12:30 p.m. She is sitting across from Detective Sarah Park, who has been on this case for 22 hours straight and who delivers difficult information with the careful precision of someone who knows that words once spoken cannot be taken back. She tells Jennifer about the gas station, the payphone, the phone records, the 22 seconds. Jennifer hears the words, she hears them in order, she understands them in order, and then she makes a sound that Detective Park will remember for the rest of her career. It is not a scream. It is not crying. It is something that happens to a person's voice when their entire understanding of the last 24 hours reconfigures around a single devastating fact. My daughter needed me and she called me and I was there and I didn't know. She called me, Jennifer says. Her voice is barely a voice anymore. She called me. She was on hold. I was seeing patients. I was in exam room 3 with a child who had an ear infection. And my daughter was standing at a payphone 2 blocks from school, and she called me and the phone said, hold please, and she waited 22 seconds. She waited because that's what she was taught. You wait, you're polite, you don't interrupt. She stops. She puts both hands over her mouth. David has to physically hold her up. He is beside her. He has been beside her almost continuously since he arrived, the two of them orbiting this absence together, sometimes touching, sometimes not, and now he gets his arms around her as her legs stop working and she says into his shoulder over and over the same thing, I put her on hold. I put my daughter on hold. She needed me and I put her on hold. There is nothing to say to this. David doesn't try to say anything, he just holds her. Detective Park looks at the wall. The rain that had been threatening all day finally arrived at 6:47 p.m. It came in hard. The way November rain does in Portland, not gradually but all at once, as if the sky had simply decided. It soaked the search volunteers in Riverside Park. It turned the K-9 team's path along the river into mud. It filled the culverts around the industrial district where another team had been checking since afternoon. Jennifer stood in it. She was on the front steps of the school when it started and she didn't move and nobody asked her to move. Because nobody wanted to be the person who told Jennifer Chen to go inside and wait in the dry. So she stood in the rain in her clinic coat and looked at the street and let it soak her. And if it was punishment or baptism or simply the only thing she could still stand to feel, she couldn't have said. Somewhere out there, Emma was cold. That was the thought she couldn't get past. Somewhere out there Emma is cold and she doesn't have her jacket because her jacket is in the cubby and it still smells like her and I am holding it and she is cold. David had gone home to coordinate. The dining room was a command center now, grid maps, volunteer logs, color-coded sectors. He'd stopped making eye contact with Jennifer hours ago. Not because he didn't love her, but because when he looked at her face, he saw his own terror reflected back, doubled. And it was too much. Better to look at the maps. Better to do. His coffee had gone cold twice. He kept refilling it. The coffee shook in the cup, but the grids stayed neat. The grids had to stay neat. In his room at the back of the house, Kevin Chen had dumped his shoebox. The shoebox had lived under his bed since summer. He'd never told Emma it existed. He'd never told anyone. He was 11 years old and deeply invested in the performance of being unbothered by his little sister. And the shoebox was evidence against this performance. Evidence he'd been collecting apparently for the better part of a year without quite admitting to himself that he was doing it. 47 sticky notes. Each one 3 inches square yellow with a small whale drawing in Emma's careful, slightly clumsy hand. Some had messages. Have a good day, Kevin. I made this whale for you. He is swimming. Sorry I was annoying yesterday. A few were just whales, no words, just the drawing. Because sometimes there was nothing to say and a whale said it anyway. Kevin had spread them across his bed. He counted them for the 4th time, 47. Almost a full year of Thursdays. Emma had made them on Thursdays, he realized now. Thursday was whale day, apparently. A fact Emma had never explained and he had never thought to ask about. He had thrown some away. He remembered throwing them away in the kitchen trash. In a moment of feeling too old for small sister sticky notes, in a moment he would spend years wanting back. He couldn't say how many, maybe 6, maybe 10. He would want every single one of them for the rest of his life. At some point in the night, Kevin picked up his phone and typed into the text thread he'd been texting Emma in for 2 years. A thread full of his minimal responses to her whale facts and documentary recommendations and random questions about homework. He typed, check in their code. The thing she texted him sometimes when she needed to know he was there. He hit send. He watched the message sit undelivered. He put the phone face down on the bed. Then he arranged the 47 sticky notes in a border around the edge of his mattress, whale after whale after whale, a perimeter of small drawings. A circle of everything Emma had tried to give him that he'd accepted without telling her he was keeping. He lay down in the middle of them. He didn't sleep. We save the things we can control. Kevin couldn't control the dark, the rain, the search teams moving grid by grid through a city that didn't know his sister's name. He couldn't control the helicopters overhead or the phone that sat undelivered or the 47 weeks he'd accepted Emma's love without ever once telling her that he kept it. But he could control this. The counting, the arranging, the border of whales around him in the dark. Small rituals against catastrophe, it's all any of us ever have. Jennifer stood at the window at 4:15 every day because Emma called at 4:15. That was the deal, the ritual. The daily proof that the world was arranged correctly. For 2.5 years, 4:15 had been the moment she let herself stop holding her breath. It was 11:47 p.m. now. She was still standing at the window. David came and put a blanket around her shoulders. She didn't turn around. He sat in the armchair behind her, close enough that she could hear him breathing. And they stayed that way they'd learned to stay together in the months before they'd given up staying together, before the strain of ordinary marriage cracked under the weight of ordinary years. Tonight, none of that mattered. Tonight, they were just two people standing watch at a window in the rain, waiting for a small girl to come home. The clock on the mantel read 11:52 p.m. Emma had been missing for 13 hours and 34 minutes. 19 hours and 26 minutes remained. Day 2 arrives the way second days always do in disappearances, heavier than the first. The first day has adrenaline. The first day has the bright, terrible energy of people who believe the situation can still be fixed in the next hour, the next phone call, the next corner turned. The first day has a kind of violent forward momentum that keeps the worst thoughts at bay through sheer noise. Day 2 is quieter. Day 2 is when the searchers who went home at midnight to sleep are back with coffee, and the particular hollow look of people who dreamed badly. Day 2 is when the tips coming into the police hotline have shifted from the urgent to the strange, callers reporting suspicious neighbors. Callers convinced they've seen Emma in grocery stores 3 counties away. One caller who says he knows where Emma is but won't say how he knows, who turns out to know nothing, who is simply a man who cannot resist the gravitational pull of being significant in a crisis. Day 2 is when you understand that this might not be solved today. FBI agent Sarah Morrison arrives at 6:00 a.m. and takes command of the investigation with the quiet efficiency of someone who has done this before and found it never gets easier. She is 41 years old, compact, with close-cropped hair and the particular stillness of a person who has trained herself not to react visibly to things that would make most people flinch. She has worked 37 missing child cases. She has found 29 of them. She does not share this statistic with the Chen family. By 7:30 a.m., she has reviewed everything: the security footage, the K9 tracking, the phone records, the timeline. She stands in front of the whiteboard in the conference room that has become the investigation's nerve center and draws a single red circle. The circle is on Riverside Avenue at the gas station, Emma's last confirmed location, 10:26 a.m. She was trying to go home, Morrison says. She knows the route her mother drove it every morning. She's not hiding. She's moving, and something or someone intercepted her between here and there. She draws a line from the gas station southeast, toward the Chen house 4 miles away. Canvass everything on this line, she says, every door, every camera, anything that might have seen a small girl in a purple shirt walking alone. The canvass begins at 8:00 a.m. It will take until afternoon to find what it finds. In the meantime, the Chen family waits in a police station waiting room that has been quietly commandeered for their use. A room with institutional carpet and plastic chairs and a coffee machine that produces something technically classifiable as coffee. Jennifer sits with her back straight and her hands in her lap and doesn't drink anything. David paces. Kevin sits in the corner with his phone face up on his knee, watching it the way you watch something you are terrified might ring, terrified might not. Kevin's mother reaches out and puts her hand on his. He doesn't pull away. At 2:00 p.m., Agent Morrison brings the family in. She is careful about how she says the next part. Emma didn't run away, she says. She was trying to reach you. She was trying to do the right thing. She looks at Jennifer. What we need to understand is why she left school without asking permission. For a child with Emma's behavioral profile, that decision would have cost her enormously. Something made her believe she had to. Jennifer knows the answer before Morrison finishes the sentence. She's known it for 24 hours in the part of herself where mothers know things before anyone has said them. She knows because she is Emma. Because Emma's perfectionism, Emma's anxiety, Emma's desperate need to follow rules and avoid trouble, all of it came from somewhere. Jennifer had been an anxious child too, meticulous, rule-bound, terrified of disappointing adults. She'd spent years thinking she was helping Emma by building the structure, the routine, the safety of knowing exactly what came next. She hadn't considered that someone could use that structure against her daughter. Someone told her she was in trouble, Jennifer says. Morrison looks at her. That's correct, she says. We believe so, and we believe it was someone who came to Emma, not the other way around. Someone with the authority to make Emma believe she had no choice. The room goes very quiet. We believe Emma was specifically targeted, Morrison says, by someone who knew her, who had access to information about her. We're currently looking into every adult who had contact with Emma or access to her school records in the past month. What they don't know yet, what they won't know until the investigation uncovers it at trial, is how far back the planning went. 3 weeks before November 14th, a man named Michael Ross had submitted a consultation request to Riverside Elementary School, citing professional development purposes. He'd obtained a visitor badge. He'd learned which classroom Emma was in, which desk she sat at, what she looked like, what time silent reading started. He'd also propped the door. A rubber wedge purchased at a hardware store for less than $2, left in the gap of the east wing exterior door during his morning reconnaissance. Left there because he needed a guaranteed exit route that didn't require buzzing through the office. $2. One-door wedge. The entire security architecture of Riverside Elementary School, the buzz-in system, the visitor protocols, the camera coverage, undone by a piece of rubber the size of a folded dollar bill. The custodian who propped that door that morning would spend years believing he was responsible for what happened to Emma Chen. He wasn't. Michael Ross had studied that door for weeks. Had he not propped it himself, he would have found another way. The door was simply the tool he chose. But the detail matters because of what it reveals about the man who chose it. This was not impulse. This was not opportunity seized in a moment of weakness. Every step was planned. Every contingency was considered. He had studied Emma's file, learned her anxieties, identified her vulnerabilities, and constructed a plan around them with the methodical patience of someone who had done this before or intended to do it again. He had chosen Emma because she was good, and he had chosen her with care. At 4:47 p.m., a call comes into the tip line. The caller doesn't give a name. The voice is male, middle-aged, and guilty in the way of someone who has been arguing with himself since the previous morning and lost. I think I saw that missing girl yesterday morning. She was sitting on the steps of the Riverside Community Church on Alameda Street. She looked really small and scared. A pause. I drove past around 10:45. I almost stopped, but I was late for work. Detectives are in their car within 4 minutes. Riverside Community Church sits at the corner of Alameda and 33rd, 2 miles southeast of the gas station, directly along the route between Riverside Elementary and the Chen home. It is a solid red brick building, 100 years old, with 5 stone steps leading to heavy wooden doors and a small parking lot to the left. Pastor Matthews is in his office when they arrive. Yesterday morning, he shakes his head. I was preparing my sermon. I didn't see any child. Does the church have security cameras? He pauses. We have one. It covers the parking lot. 5:30 p.m. The footage loads. Timestamp 10:43 a.m. November 14, 2008. A small figure enters the frame from the right, moving slowly, not running, not walking purposefully, but moving the way a person moves when they no longer know where they are going. She reaches the church's front steps. She sits down. She is wearing a purple shirt. She has black braids with rainbow elastics. She is sitting on the top step with her knees pulled up, and even on the grainy parking lot camera, even at this distance, you can see that she is small, impossibly small. She looks like something the city has misplaced. Detective Park leans close to the monitor. That's her, she says. For 8 minutes, Emma Chen sat on those steps. The church doors were 15 feet away, unlocked. The pastor was inside. A secretary was at her desk. There were warm, safe people on the other side of a door Emma could have opened in 3 seconds. She didn't knock. She was 8 years old, and she'd been taught stranger danger so thoroughly that it had calcified into something that no longer distinguished between dangerous strangers and helpful ones. She'd been taught not to approach people she didn't know. She'd been taught to wait for a trusted adult. She was waiting, on those steps alone. In November cold, Emma Chen was doing exactly what she'd been taught to do. She was waiting for a trusted adult to find her. On the monitor, the timestamp reads 10:51:07 a.m. A vehicle turns into the church parking lot from Alameda Street. Blue Honda Accord, Oregon plates. It moves slowly the way a car moves when its driver is looking for something. The driver finds it, he parks, gets out, medium build, khaki pants, polo shirt. He carries himself with the relaxed authority of someone accustomed to institutional settings, to fluorescent lighting, to children who do what they are told. He walks toward the church steps. Emma, visible in the lower corner of the frame, watches him come. Her posture changes, shoulders tightening, the small shift of an animal that has caught a scent it can't quite name. Her hand moves to her chest. She is touching her orca pendant. 3 times, then she stands, they speak. The camera has no audio. What they say exists only in Emma's memory, and in the clinical language of a later courtroom transcript. He said I was in trouble. He said my teacher had called. He said he was there to help me with the paperwork and then my mom would come get me. She hesitates. For 4 seconds that the parking lot camera captures in its patient, indifferent way, Emma Chen stands at the top of those church steps and does not move. Her hand is at her pendant. She is 8 years old. She has been alone for an hour and 25 minutes. A trusted adult has told her he is here to help. At 10:52 a.m., Emma gets into the passenger seat of a blue Honda Accord. At 10:52:47 a.m., the vehicle exits the parking lot. The license plate is clearly visible as it turns onto Alameda Street. 5:45 p.m. The plate is run through the Oregon DMV system in under 90 seconds. Registered owner, Michael Ross, age 43. Registered address, 4738 Maple Ridge Drive, Beaverton, Oregon. Criminal history, none. Employment, elementary school counselor. Bridgeview Elementary School, Beaverton School District. The room goes still in the particular way it goes still when everyone reaches the same conclusion simultaneously and nobody wants to be the first to say it out loud. Elementary school counselor. He has spent his entire professional life learning how children think, how they process fear, what they need to hear from an authority figure to comply. What words make an anxious child believe she has no choice but to follow? He had access to school records through interdistrict consultation channels. He knew what an anxious, rule-following 8-year-old looked like in a behavioral file. He had studied Emma Chen the way you study a lock before you pick it. "Get me a warrant," Agent Morrison says. Her voice is very quiet. "Get me SWAT." 6:30 p.m. Chen family gathered in the police station lobby. Jennifer, David, Kevin. Jennifer and David are holding hands for the first time since the morning Emma disappeared. With her free hand, Jennifer is rubbing the duplicate of Emma's orca pendant resting against her own collarbone, a matched set bought the same day at the aquarium gift shop 3 years ago. She doesn't know she's doing it. Kevin has one of Emma's sticky notes folded in his fist. Agent Morrison comes through the doors. She looks at Jennifer. She says, "We know who took her. We're going to get her now." "Jennifer, is she alive? Tell me she's alive." "Morrison, we're moving as fast as we can." 4738 Maple Ridge Drive looks like every other house on the street. Beige, single-story, attached garage, neatly maintained lawn, the specific tidiness of a person who understands the value of appearing unremarkable. The porch light is on. Lights glow behind the curtains in the front room. Someone is home. The SWAT team has been in position since 7:05 p.m. Neighbors have been quietly evacuated. A woman 3 doors down asked what was happening and was told only that it was a police matter and to please go inside. She went inside. She would tell reporters the next morning that the street had felt normal, that she'd had no idea that she'd seen Michael Ross mowing his lawn just last weekend and he'd waved. He always waved. At 7:12 p.m., the loudspeaker crackles. "Michael Ross, this is Portland Police. Exit the house with your hands visible." Silence from inside. A curtain shifts in the front window. "Michael Ross, we have a warrant. Exit the house now or we are coming in." The door opens slowly. Michael Ross steps out. He is wearing khaki pants and a polo shirt. He looks like a suburban dad. He looks like a school counselor. He looks like someone's uncle, someone's neighbor. The kind of man who knows all the kids' names on the street and brings extra candy on Halloween and coaches Little League on weekends. His hands are raised and his eyes are wide, and his voice, when he speaks, is the voice of a man deploying the last tool left in his arsenal: innocence. I didn't do anything. What's happening? I didn't do anything. He keeps saying it as the officers rush him. I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything. A mantra. A performance, the thing a man says when he has spent 43 years understanding how authority works and believes, even now, even in handcuffs, that the right words delivered with sufficient conviction might still be enough. Officers clear the living room, kitchen, bathroom, master bedroom. A second bedroom converted to a home office, clear. A third bedroom at the end of the hallway, door closed. Officer Sarah Kim tries the handle, locked, from the outside. An adult-height sliding bolt. Installed on the outside of the door, not the original hardware. Added later deliberately by someone who understood what a locked door from the outside meant and had done it anyway. Officer Kim's voice is very tight. Locked door. At 7:19 p.m. the door comes open. Small bedroom, twin bed, nightstand with a lamp. The lamp is on, casting a circle of yellow light that makes the room look almost normal, almost like a child's room, which is what someone had been trying for, which makes it worse. And on the bed, sitting with her back pressed against the headboard and her knees pulled to her chest, still wearing the purple dolphin shirt and the dark blue jeans and the white sneakers with the purple laces, still wearing the rainbow elastic bands in her braids, still wearing the orca pendant on its purple cord around her neck, Emma Grace Chen. Alive. Officer Kim steps into the room. Emma's eyes track to her. Don't blink. I've got her, Kim says into her radio. Her voice breaks on the second word and doesn't fully recover. I've got the girl, she's alive. The radio crackles. The confirmation travels outward through the house, through the police channel, through the FBI frequency, through the earpiece of the detective who is standing in the police station lobby with Jennifer and David and Kevin Chen, who have been holding onto each other in the particular way of people who are trying to stay upright through sheer combined force of will. Jennifer Chen hears it through the detective's earpiece from 3 feet away. She's alive. The sound Jennifer makes is not a scream and not a sob. It is the sound of 33 hours of held breath leaving a human body all at once. It is the sound of a mother's body understanding before her brain catches up. She is moving before the detective has turned around, moving toward the door, toward a car, toward her daughter. From somewhere down the hall, through the radio, she's alive. Oh God, she's alive. Kevin unfolds Emma's sticky note, the one he's been holding crumpled in his fist for the past 6 hours, and presses it flat against his leg, the small whale drawing, her careful handwriting. He sits down on the floor of the police station lobby. He puts his face in his hands. He cries for the first time since this began. In the bedroom at the end of the hallway, Emma Chen is rocking. Slightly steadily, the way children rock when they need their bodies to tell them that they are still their own. She is rolling the orca pendant between her thumb and index finger, the faint, rhythmic click of the plastic clasp echoing in the quiet room 3 times, pause 3 times, pause, and making a small sound barely audible. A sound that the officer who first hears it will later recognize as a melody, the tune from the Rainbow Fish audiobook. Emma had played it so many times on her mother's phone that the melody had become interior, something she carried. In 33 hours in a locked room, Emma had sung herself small. She had stayed inside the melody, inside the pendant's familiar weight, inside the rituals her own hands remembered until the door opened. Now Officer Kim crouches at the edge of the bed. Eye level, close enough to be seen but not close enough to crowd. Emma, she says, my name is Sarah. Your mom is coming. She's on her way right now. Emma's pendant hand goes still. Her eyes move to Kim's face. Then the first words Emma Chen has spoken in 33 hours, delivered in a voice worn to almost nothing. No, no, he'll make me. She is not looking at Kim when she screams it. She is looking past her at the hallway, where a patrol car is visible through the bedroom window with Michael Ross in the back seat. Officers move the car immediately, pull it around the block out of Emma's sightline. The screaming stops. Emma's body doesn't fully relax, but she lets Kim come a half step closer. She lets Kim drape a blanket around her shoulders. She does not let anyone move her past the front of the house until the car is gone, and Kim confirms it twice. In a voice calibrated for 8-year-olds, "He can't see you, you're safe, he's gone." Officer Kim carries Emma to the ambulance. Emma's face is pressed into Kim's shoulder, her hand is on the pendant. Emmanuel Hospital, 8:00 p.m. Emma arrives in a private room in the pediatric emergency unit. She is dehydrated. She has not eaten since the previous morning. Her vitals are elevated with anxiety but stable. She is physically unharmed. She will not let go of the pendant. At 8:15 p.m., Jennifer and David Chen come through the door. Emma sees her mother. She makes a sound like something breaking open, half sob, half wail, and reaches. Jennifer crosses the room in 3 steps and scoops her up, 8 years old in all angles and limbs, curling Emma into her lap the way she used to when Emma was 3, when Emma was a toddler, when she was small enough that this was easy. Emma wraps both arms around Jennifer's neck. She presses her face into her mother's shoulder. She doesn't let go. Jennifer rocks her, says, "I've got you, Mama's here now," her hands moving over Emma's braids, her back, her arms, not adjusting, not checking, not the measured reassurance of a pediatrician. Just touching, just confirming, just the animal certainty of a mother holding what she thought she'd lost. David touches Emma's back, her hair, her hand. He is confirming she is real in the only way that works, which is to make contact with every part of her he can reach. Kevin appears in the doorway. He stands there for a moment looking at his sister in their mother's arms, his sister who is alive, his sister who is small and dirty and wearing mismatched socks and holding her orca pendant, his sister who is so Emma that it is almost incomprehensible that she has been anywhere other than where she belongs. He walks to the bedside. He pulls a crumpled sticky note from his pocket, the whale drawing, the one he's been carrying, and sets it on the nightstand where Emma can see it. Emma's eyes track to the sticky note. Fresh tears fall. Kevin sits in the chair beside the bed. He doesn't say anything. He doesn't need to. At 10:30 p.m., after the examinations and the vitals and the gentle patient work of Dr. Ramon Silva, the child psychologist who has been waiting since 9 p.m., Emma Chen speaks. Her voice is small and hoarse and absolutely hers. "I tried to call you, Mama. Jennifer, I know, baby, I know you did. I'm so sorry I didn't answer." "Emma, the lady said wait, I waited, you didn't come." Jennifer sobbing, "I'm so sorry, I'm here now, I'm here." Emma is quiet for a moment, then, "I broke the rules, I left school without asking, am I in trouble?" Something breaks open in Jennifer. Something that has been held together by 33 hours of terror and forward motion, and the sheer refusal to fall apart cracks at exactly this seam. Her daughter, who has survived a locked room, whose first concern upon rescue is whether she is in trouble, and Jennifer Chen, pediatrician, woman who triple-checks locks and color-codes calendars, pulls Emma closer and says with a fierceness that surprises both of them, "No, baby, no, you are not in trouble. You did nothing wrong. That man lied to you. He used your goodness against you. That makes him wrong, not you, never you." Emma thinks about this for a long time, then she asks for crackers. Jennifer gets crackers. It is the best thing Jennifer has ever done. At 2:00 a.m., when Emma is finally sleeping and Jennifer and David have settled into the chair-and-cot vigil that will continue until discharge, Kevin appears in the doorway with his arms full. The shoebox, all 47 sticky notes. He spreads them one by one around the edge of Emma's hospital bed. Wail after wail after wail, her childlike drawings, her careful messages, the weeks and months of love she'd pressed into 3-inch squares and left for brother who'd accepted them without ever quite admitting he was keeping them. He makes a border of them, a perimeter, a circle. Emma wakes at 3:00 a.m. from a nightmare, the locked door, the dark, the waiting, and opens her eyes to find herself surrounded, 47 small whales. She touches the nearest one, looks at Kevin, who is sitting in the chair in the corner watching. "You kept them?" Kevin's voice breaks. "All of them. I'm sorry I threw some away." "You didn't throw them away," Emma says with the precise logic of an 8-year-old who can count. "You kept 47, that's a lot." Kevin puts his hand over his eyes. He nods. Emma Chen learned at 8 years old what some people never learn, that being good doesn't protect you, that following rules doesn't guarantee safety, that there are people in the world who will study a child's desire to please and treat it as a vulnerability to exploit. She learned this in a locked room over 33 hours with her pendant in her hand and a song from a picture book in her throat. And for the rest of her life, she would carry that knowledge, not just in her mind, in her body. In the way her hand moves to her pendant when someone speaks to her in a tone she can't quite read. In the way she checks that doors are not locked from the outside before she sleeps. In the way she will never quite shake the feeling when someone in authority tells her she is in trouble that it might be true. Trauma doesn't teach lessons, it writes itself into you. The trial of Michael Ross begins on September 14, 2009. It takes 3 weeks. The evidence is meticulous. The GPS data from Ross's vehicle, logging every movement on November 14th with the indifferent precision of technology that has no stake in whose side it's on. The visitor badge request submitted to Riverside Elementary 3 weeks before the abduction. The computer search history, searches so specific, so clinical, so deliberate in their targeting of exactly Emma's psychological profile, that the FBI behavioral analyst who testifies about them tells the jury this was not impulse, this was preparation. The courtroom sees Ross's search history projected on a screen: compliant children, how to gain child trust, child anxiety manipulation. He had studied how to break her before he ever set foot in her school. He had chosen her because she was good. Emma Chen testifies via closed-circuit television from a separate room. She is spared having to sit in the same space as Michael Ross. She is not spared having to say in her own words what he did. She testifies for 47 minutes. She touches her orca pendant throughout, one hand in her lap, always moving. The prosecutor notes it in his closing argument. Even now, testifying about the worst 33 hours of her life, she seeks comfort from the same pendant she wore in that locked room. The same pendant her mother bought her at the aquarium when she was 5 years old, when the world still felt safe enough to love without condition. Emma tells the jury what Ross said to her at her classroom door. She tells them about the clipboard and the badge and the words that made her believe she had no choice. She tells them about the locked room, about waiting for her mother who didn't come, about humming the same melody over and over in the dark because it was the only thing she could still control. She tells them, "He said I was bad. He said I was in trouble and it was my fault. I believed him because I didn't know adults could lie to children like that." The defense does not cross-examine Emma Chen. The jury has been out for 6 hours. Jennifer Chen has not moved from her seat in the gallery for 6 hours. She is wearing the orca pendant. Her hands are in her, with the right one wrapped around the left, and she is very still, the stillness of someone who has learned that movement sometimes fools you into feeling like it's helping. David is beside her. Kevin is on her other side. They are not touching. They don't need to be. The jury foreman stands. On the charge of kidnapping in the first degree, the room holds its breath. We find the defendant guilty. Guilty on every count, 5 charges, 5 verdicts. 5 times the foreman says guilty, and 5 times the word lands in the courtroom like a stone dropped into still water. Jennifer Chen does not cry. She closes her eyes for a long moment, breathes in through her nose, breathes out, opens them. She does not feel relief exactly. She has learned in the past 10 months that justice and relief are not the same thing, that you can want justice furiously, can fight for it and organize your life around the pursuit of it, and still find when it arrives that what you feel is something quieter and more complicated than you expected, something closer to witness. As in, I was here, I saw it, I did not let this go unnamed. David takes her hand. Outside, reporters wait for the family's statement. Jennifer will tell them, Emma is not defined by what happened to her. She is defined by who she is, by her love of whales and her surprise socks and her kindness and her courage. Michael Ross took 33 hours. He doesn't get the rest. The sentence comes 1 year and 6 days after Emma disappeared from room 107, 25 years to life. First parole eligibility, November 2034, when Michael Ross is 69 years old, when Emma Chen will be 34. Judge Patricia Wong looks at Ross from the bench, looks at this man in his khakis and his collared shirt. This man who understood children so well he weaponized their trust, and says, "You will spend the next quarter century in prison. And I hope you spend every day of it thinking about the fear in Emma Chen's eyes when she realized her mother wasn't coming to save her. Her mother was always coming. That is the thing Michael Ross, despite all his planning and all his knowledge and all his studied understanding of how children think, got wrong. He thought 33 hours without her mother would break Emma. He didn't account for the 47 sticky notes. He didn't account for the pendant that had her mother's twin resting against her mother's own collarbone 3 miles away. He didn't account for the fact that Jennifer Chen, upon hearing the words "we can't find her," had left a clinic full of patients, run across a wet parking lot, scraped open her knee, and not once, not for 1 second, stopped moving toward her daughter. He had studied Emma Chen's vulnerabilities with care. He had not studied her family. In the spring of 2010, Jennifer Chen drives to Salem for the 3rd time in 4 months. She brings Emma. Emma sits in the gallery of the Oregon House Education Committee and watches her mother speak, which Emma finds difficult to categorize. Her mother speaks to adults at the clinic every day. But this is different. This is a room full of people whose attention is itself a kind of power. And Jennifer's voice does something Emma has never heard it do before. It goes absolutely steady. Not calm, steady. The way a bridge is steady, not by being unaffected by what crosses it, but by being built to bear the weight. Jennifer tells the committee what happened on November 14, 2008. She tells them about the visitor badge log that contained no photographs. She tells them about the interdistrict consultation access that allowed any credentialed school employee to request files from any school in the state. She tells them about the rubber door wedge, the 90-second mechanical holder, the single camera that covered the parking lot but not the front steps. She tells them, "My daughter did everything right. She made it to a payphone. She called my number. The system failed her 6 different times in 90 minutes. I would like to talk about fixing the system." The bill that passes in May 2010 is called Emma's Law. It mandates visitor photograph ID verification at all Oregon public schools. It closes the interdistrict records access loophole. It requires exterior door inspection protocols. It funds security camera upgrades covering all school entry and exit points. Emma, 10 years old, attends the signing ceremony. Governor Kulongoski hands her the pen after signing. She touches her orca pendant before she takes it. Then she takes it. It is Jennifer who finds the book first. She has been moving things quietly, carefully for 2 years, putting away what Emma wasn't ready for, preserving what might someday matter. The rainbow fish had gone into a box in the hallway closet in the winter of 2009, labeled in Jennifer's careful handwriting. Not because it needed to be stored, but because Jennifer couldn't walk past Emma's bookshelf and see it sitting there with the dog-eared page still marking Chapter 4. Emma asks for it in February 2011. She says at dinner, in the matter-of-fact tone she has been using more often lately, the tone of a child learning to move toward things instead of away from them. "I want my rainbow fish book back." Jennifer gets it from the closet. She hands it to Emma without saying anything, because there is nothing to say, because this is Emma's, because Emma asking for it back is the bravest thing Jennifer has watched her do since the trial. Emma takes it to her room. She sits on her bed with it for a long time without opening it. Jennifer can see the light under the door from the hallway, which is where Jennifer stands back against the wall, hands loose at her sides, not going in. Then Emma opens the book. She begins to read aloud, to herself or to no one, in the small, careful voice of an 11-year-old who is practicing something. She reads every page. Jennifer stands in the hallway and listens to her daughter's voice moving through a story they both love: the fish and its shining scales, what it costs to share what you treasure most, what you get back when you do and does not go in. Emma reads to the last page. She closes the book. From the hallway, Jennifer hears the sound of Emma crying, not distressed, not frightened, something quieter, something that sounds unmistakably like release. Jennifer slides down the wall until she is sitting on the hallway floor, back against the plaster, hands in her lap. She cries too. Neither of them mentions it in the morning. They don't need to. 2011, David Chen found Safe Schools Oregon, a nonprofit dedicated to implementing Emma's Law recommendations statewide. He runs it out of the spare bedroom of his apartment, then a donated office, then a real one. He is good at it. He was always good at organizing people toward a goal. 2012, Jennifer and David Chen finalized their divorce. They tell Emma and Kevin together at the kitchen table and are careful and honest about why. The weight of what they survived fractured something between them that they tried and couldn't mend. They are better apart. They will always be family. This is all true. Emma and Kevin understand more than they let on. 2013, Emma wins the regional debate tournament arguing in favor of stricter school visitor protocols. She does not mention that she helped write the law they are arguing about. She wins anyway. 2015, Emma Chen, 14, gives her first public talk at a school safety conference in Portland. She speaks for 12 minutes without notes. She does not touch her pendant once. Jennifer in the front row counts. 2016, Kevin Chen begins his social work degree at Portland State University. He has known since he was 11 years old, sitting in his sister's chair with her pencil in his hands, that this is what he will do. He will work with children in crisis. He will sit in the rooms where terrible things have happened to small people, and he will know what to say, which is mostly, "I believe you, I'm not leaving." 2018, Emma Chen is accepted early decision to the University of Oregon. She wants to study psychology. She already knows what she wants to do with it. She has known since she was 8 years old in a locked room with her pendant in her hand and a melody in her throat. She is going to be in the room. She is going to sit at the edge of the bed. Emma Grace Chen marries Marcus Webb on a Saturday in June 2024. She is 26 years old. Marcus Webb was 24 years old when he pointed a frightened girl in a purple shirt toward a payphone and then helped a customer and looked back and she was gone. He spent 15 years thinking about whether he should have stopped her. He told Emma this the first time they talked at a school safety fundraiser 3 years ago, and Emma looked at him for a long moment and said, "She's okay. I promise she's okay." He cried, which she found charming. They were married 6 months after that conversation. Today is the celebration they planned for everyone else. Emma walks down the aisle between her parents, Jennifer on her left, David on her right. They are not together, haven't been for 12 years, will not be again, have made a separate peace with that fact and with each other that neither of them could have imagined in the first terrible year. But today they walk in step, her mother and her father. And Emma is between them the way she has always been between them, the thing they built together that neither of them could have made alone. Under her dress, mismatched socks. Left foot rainbow stripes, right foot purple with white polka dots. She has worn mismatched socks every single day since she was 5 years old. She wore them in the locked room. She wore them to testify at trial. She wore them to the bill signing and the debate tournament and the first day of college, and she is wearing them now under a white dress, walking toward the person she has chosen. Some things you don't change. Some things you carry forward exactly as they are. Kevin's toast is 3 minutes and 40 seconds long. He holds up a faded yellow square of paper, 3 inches, a whale drawing in careful, clumsy handwriting, the ink gone pale with years. "I want to show you something," says. "Emma made this for me when she was 7. She left it on my pillow. I almost threw it away. I was 11. I thought I was too cool for my little sister's sticky notes." He pauses. "When Emma was missing, I sat in her chair at her desk and held her pencil because it was the only part of her I could reach, and I opened my shoebox. I had 47 of these." He looks at Emma. "I have over 200 now. I kept every single one she ever gave me. From the day I stopped throwing them away, every whale, every have a good day, Kevin, every sorry I was annoying, every I made this one because you seemed sad." His voice breaks. "She made me a whale every time she thought I needed one. That's who my sister is. That's who she has always been." He raises his glass. Check-in. Emma laughing through tears present. That night in the hotel room, Emma reaches to her collarbone. She holds the pendant for a moment, its familiar weight. Its worn plastic cord, the tiny clasp she has clicked and unclicked 10,000 times in 33 hours and 18 years. She thinks of the locked room. She thinks of the morning alarm and the strawberry shampoo and the pencil parallel to the desk's edge. She thinks of everything it held for her, all the years it stood between her and the feeling of falling. She unclasps it. For the first time in 16 years, Emma Chen sets the orca pendant on the nightstand. She looks at it for a moment. Then she turns toward her husband. "She doesn't need it tonight. I wore the pendant to work today. I wear it most days. Not because I need it the way I once needed it, not as the thing between me and the floor, but because it's mine. Because Emma Chen is a woman who wears a plastic orca pendant, and that has always been true and will keep being true. I had a new client this week, 7 years old. She has her grandmother's necklace on a lanyard and she holds it when she's scared. She doesn't know I noticed. I noticed. I'm not going to say anything about it. Some things you don't explain, some things you just let a person keep. February 2026. Dr. Emma Chen is 26 years old. She has been a licensed therapist for 8 months. Her specialty is trauma-focused therapy with children. Her caseload is full. She sits on her couch, the smaller one, across from the larger one, and waits. Her 10:00 a.m. appointment is a 7-year-old girl named Lily. Lily has been coming for 3 weeks. She has large, dark eyes and a habit of watching the door and the window alternately, the particular vigilance of a child who has learned that the world can rearrange itself without warning. Emma knows that vigilance. She knows it in her body. The way you know things that were written into you before you were old enough to choose. Lily comes in and sits down. She pulls her feet up under her on the couch, a progress marker. She wasn't ready to do that 3 weeks ago. She looks at the shelf and sees the rainbow fish. "Is that a kid's book?" she asks. "Yes," Emma says. "It's mine, but you're a grown-up. I know, I've had it since I was younger than you." Emma pauses. "Do you want me to read it?" Lily considers this with the gravity of a 7-year-old making an important decision. "Yes," she says. Emma reaches for the book. Before she opens it, her hand moves to the orca pendant at her collarbone. Once, twice, 3 times. She doesn't notice she's done it. Lily watches Emma's hand, then Lily reaches up. Around her own neck on a lanyard her grandmother gave her is a small plastic dolphin. She closes her fingers around it. Emma opens the book. She begins to read. "In this room, on this morning, in the way that healing sometimes works, not as the absence of what happened, but as the continued presence of living anyway, Emma Chen is doing the thing she was always going to do. She is sitting at the edge of the bed. She is asking instead of telling. She is giving a frightened child the one thing that no one can take away from you once you have it, which is the knowledge that someone sees you, knows you, and is not leaving." Her pendant catches the morning light. Lily's dolphin catches it too. The book lies open between them. Michael Ross became eligible for parole review in November 2034. He will be 69 years old. Emma Chen will be 34. She has already written her victim impact statement. It is already done. Emma's law has been updated 3 times since 2010, each revision tightening what the previous version missed. It has been cited as a model in school safety legislation in 4 other states. Jennifer Chen still stands at the kitchen window at 4:15 p.m. on certain days. Old habits are not erased, they are just visited less often. Kevin Chen works as a Child Protective Services caseworker in Portland. He has been in this job for 3 years. He is very good at it. He sits in the rooms where terrible things have happened to small people and he knows what to say. Which is mostly, "I believe you, I'm not leaving." He learned this from his sister and from the 11-year-old version of himself who sat in a small chair at a small desk and held a purple pencil and refused to move until someone told him Emma was safe. David Chen runs Safe Schools Oregon. He has watched Emma's law be adopted in 4 states. He still gets to the office early. He still makes the grids neat. In room 107 at Riverside Elementary, there is now a second security camera covering the right side of the classroom. All visitors are photographed and logged with a government-issued ID. The exterior door in the east wing has been replaced with one that cannot be mechanically held open. The desk in the 3rd row right side near the windows belongs now to a different child, and the one before that and the one before that, it is just a desk. It is also always Emma's. Emma answers.